What's up, guys? So I want to talk about the fear of having sudden cardiac arrest. I've been getting comments like crazy over the past few weeks, and I remember being completely horrified and terrified by having sudden cardiac arrest due to some electrical component going wrong within my heart. So if you're dealing with this, you're not alone. If you are new here, subscribe, because I talk everything anxiety, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, health anxiety, the heart anxiety, cardiophobia component that we're going to be talking about today with the sudden cardiac arrest fear, death anxiety, you name it, anxiety-wise, I cover it on this channel. So be a part of the family, subscribe, and go ahead and give this video a like so we can spread awareness about the fear of having sudden cardiac arrest to let people know that they are not alone in this. And trust me, you want to watch this whole video. Not only am I going to relate with you and describe all the aspects of this fear, at the very end of this video, there's going to be a long segment where I give you some really good, in-depth advice on how to get past this fear. So if you want to get better, if you want to overcome this fear, if you want to overcome health anxiety, heart anxiety, cardiophobia, do yourself a favor and get through the video and get the tips at the end. So I had health anxiety for 5 years, but the first 2.5 years of that was really centered around the fear of something going wrong with my heart. I had horrible heart anxiety. Another term for that is cardiophobia. You're afraid of something going wrong with your heart. Heart attacks, arrhythmias, afib, cardiac arrest, sudden cardiac arrest, heart failure. I was afraid of anything going wrong with my heart. This led to me having fears about my circulatory system, blood clots, strokes, aneurysms, all that good stuff, right? So I was terrified. This was by far the worst part of my health anxiety. I was having panic attacks every single day. Anytime I felt anything around my chest, I had chest pains. I had tachycardia, extremely fast heart rate, high blood pressure, numbness, tingling. Any symptom of a heart attack, I experienced that all throughout the day, every single day for years, okay? It crippled me. It was hard for me to hold down a job. Every day I thought I was dying, and I thought it was my last. It started with me having a massive panic attack. I typed in all my symptoms. It told me heart attack at the age of 21, all right? I believed it because my anxiety obviously had gotten so bad because I was a negative thinker and a catastrophizer to cause me to have these symptoms and panic. So I assumed the worst case scenario that I saw at the top, heart attack. So it started with me fearing heart attacks, right? And that went on for a while. At this point, especially in the beginning, whenever you're terrified, you are super curious. Later on, you are terrified of getting triggered, so you don't look up articles. You run out of rooms if you hear a story about somebody having a heart problem. You don't watch videos of people falling out. But in the beginning, you are extremely curious about all the stuff. You're trying to make sure that this is anxiety or if it's a heart problem, right? So I remember doing a lot of research within those first few months, and again, it started with this tremendous fear of heart attacks, which that never went away, for the next 2.5 years. I still had that fear, but something else came upon me, and it came even stronger, and it was my fear of having sudden cardiac arrest, and it started with me watching this video on YouTube. And of course, it was a compilation of people just kind of going out. And before this, I thought that basically sudden death was just you having a massive heart attack. And yes, that's true. You can suddenly die from having a massive coronary heart attack, the widowmaker. But there was something else. The electrical component in your heart, if it's disrupted, your heart can just stop beating. You don't get blood flow to the brain, and then you fall out, right? But I didn't know anything about this, right? I'm still a newbie at this heart anxiety thing. So I'm soaking this video in, I'm watching, and then I start to see, this is where it really got scary for me. I start to see this happening a lot with athletes. And guess what I was thinking? I was like, man, if it can happen to these basketball players and these soccer players, which those are the common sports where I feel like I've seen the most videos of this actually occurring, it can definitely happen to me. Like, I'm not in the best of shape. I'm certainly not no pro athlete. These people are running up and down. They've been doing this for years, and then that happened to them. It definitely can happen to me. I'm eating junk food. I haven't worked out in a long time because I've been scared to get my heart rate up. I'm not in great shape. It can definitely happen to me, So that started to play in my mind, and I know a lot of you guys can relate. So I got extremely terrified, but still curious. So I jump on Google and I start looking at some of these athletes and what happened, and a lot of it was sudden cardiac arrest. Either it was something that wasn't detected during their initial physical or screening. They didn't have in-depth testing for them, so they didn't pick it up. Or in some cases, crap happens and just randomly this can occur. But most of the time, they had some issue with their heart that just wasn't detected and it wasn't picked up. And if you're going to be running nonstop, eventually at some point, if you exert yourself hard enough, it's going to come to light. And yeah, this horrified me. And now I want to bring up what happened with Damar Hamlin a few weeks ago. I'm sure if you have heart anxiety, you've seen it and it's horrified you as well. I went through a period of time where I feared a similar situation as to what happened to him. He's the safety for the Buffalo Bills. I watched that game live. He went up to go make a tackle. The person he was tackling, he hit him in the chest, and that's just the way the game goes, right? It's a very physical, rough sport. It happens. Anyways, he gets hit as he's making the tackle. He gets up, he staggers, he loses consciousness, he falls down. They immediately know that this is like a serious situation. They're rushing the trainers on. Thankfully, they do a great job at administering CPR. He's eventually revived through a shock. He's, taken off the field via ambulance. Miraculously, after a week, he's talking, he's on FaceTime, and now he's walking around. He's at the facility, and he's recovering. And he's going to be an inspiration regardless if he plays football again or not. But I remember whenever I was watching that game, I was like, oh my God, think about all of the people that never feared anything going wrong with their heart are now going to deal with heart anxiety, because I know how these stories impact people whenever they see them, or videos, especially if you're watching something live on television. It's even more powerful, right? There's a difference between watching a YouTube video and seeing it live. And a lot of people, millions of people saw that live. So I also got sick to my stomach thinking about my audience and all the people that already have heart anxiety and health anxiety and how they felt whenever they saw the situation. You know what I mean? Because I know me, whenever I saw videos and stuff, and I saw articles or read articles about somebody dying from something heart-related or hearing a story, I felt sick to my stomach. My chest would tighten. I would often have panic attacks. I would exhibit all the symptoms except for, I guess, actually going unconscious and dying that these people would deal with, right? That's how strong my brain was. That's how much fear that I had. I could mimic symptoms of heart disease on a daily basis. So hearing stories, seeing videos, I would have been extremely terrified if I saw something live like this. All that stuff would have triggered me. So I was just thinking about this, and then I saw this huge influx in comments on my channel about like, hey, Trey, can you make a video about sudden cardiac arrest? There were a few comments actually about the football game. And what happened with this guy, it was actually a little bit different. This is even more of a rare form of sudden cardiac arrest, and it's commotio cordis. And basically, within a millisecond of a certain point in your heartbeat, and I think it's the down part of your heartbeat, if you get hit with enough force, it can disrupt it, stop your heart, and within a couple seconds, you're not getting blood flow to the brain, and that's where you would obviously collapse. I remember hearing about commotio cordis whenever I was going through my heart anxiety. And for the next few weeks, guys, I didn't want anybody near me. I didn't want nobody bumping my chest. I was already not being physically active or working out, but sometimes I would play some basketball with my friends, a pickup game, or play some touch football. I didn't do any of that. I was terrified of somebody just bumping into my chest or somebody just being like, hey, good job. I didn't want any of that. And there were a few times that would happen. Somehow I would got bumped on my chest and I'd be like, oh my God, am I about to die? You know what I mean? And that would freak the crap out of me. So I went through a period where I avoided any contact. I didn't want nobody touching me, bumping me. And I was thinking like, maybe I don't have to get hit at a certain point in my chest for me to get this commotio cordis. Maybe if my whole body gets rocked enough, you know what I mean? Maybe it'll happen. So I just became terrified of any type of physical contact, bumping into something. It got to a whole nother level with the commotio cordis fear, right? Another like individual fear and the overall fear of sudden cardiac arrest. So that started to control me. I was afraid of driving in general with sudden cardiac arrest. I was afraid that I was going to just go unconscious because of it, and that I was going to swerve over and hit somebody else, possibly kill somebody else while driving, and then people were going to think that I was suicidal and that I just wanted to take somebody out on my way out. I know this is irrational, but this is how anxious minds work. So I was afraid of that. I was terrified of exercise even more. If I wasn't already afraid of it enough with the heart attack situation, the heart attack fears, Seeing these pro athletes run up and down and they're healthy supposedly, and then they fall out, my God, I'm even more terrified of exercise. You know what I mean? So as you can see, this fear can run your life. And in some cases, guys, it takes a few seconds for you to actually go unconscious from, sudden cardiac arrest, because the heart stops beating and then sometimes you're still conscious for a few seconds. And this messed with my mind as well, because there'd be moments where I felt like I was at peace or whatever. I wasn't feeling my heart thumping in my chest or off to the races. And then I would get paranoid and sabotage the peaceful moment by being like, oh my God, did my heart stop? Because I have this new fear of sudden cardiac arrest and my heart stopping and me remaining conscious for a few seconds. So I'm jumping to my neck, checking as if I'm going to be able to do anything anyways, if this is the case. And you're panicky, so you're not putting your finger in the right spot. You're like, oh my God, I don't feel my heartbeat. You know what I mean? And this goes on for 10, 15, 20 seconds as if you could just be sitting here talking, worrying frantically about if your heart stopped, right, for 20 seconds. You don't understand how many of those episodes that I had as well. So now that I'm on the other side of not only heart anxiety, but health anxiety, I'm going to give you a few tips, some mindsets. You're not going to get this overnight. Be patient. It takes time to develop these mindsets, but I'm going to tell you where you got to get to. You almost have to be more afraid of not living than dying. I was not living for those 5 years. I especially was not living for those 2.5 years where I thought I was dying every single day, right? Years had passed. Not only just the 2.5, but 5 years had passed with me worrying about death, dying, and disease and everything. And I was like, oh my God, 5 years have passed. I've been to the doctor a million times. I've gotten tested a million times. And I've always been healthy. But oh my God, those are 5 years I'm never going to get back. Now, luckily, I'm in a position to help people, so it wasn't all a waste or whatever. But at the time, I was like, oh my God, I wasted 5 years of my freaking life worrying about something that I never had. I've been totally irrational. So I actually became more afraid of like being irrational and not living than actually dying. So that's the first thing. That helped me with my overall fear of death, dying, disease. I was afraid of not being present. I was afraid of missing out. I was afraid of the thought of being on my deathbed one day and looking back and be like, oh my God, for 50 years, I thought I was dying and I never was. I never was. I wish I could go back and relive those 50 years. So you have to handle your fear and make some type of peace with your fear of death and dying. And I think that helps me. I use my fear of death as motivation to get the most out of each of my days, right? So yesterday and tomorrow becomes foggy. I'm focused on today. Guess what? Something magical happens when you do this. Your life starts to slow down. This next one, guys, I would start telling myself I can't catch cancer, heart disease, MS, a heart attack, sudden cardiac arrest like we talked about in this video through reading an article about it, right? Or hearing a story about it, or watching it happen on TV, or in Damar Hamlin's case, watching it happen live, or one of your family members getting it. It doesn't sign me up for that same fate, for that same cancer or disease or illness or sickness. It does not work like that. And I know some of you are thinking right now, well, duh, it doesn't work. But how many times have you read something and you started to experience symptoms of it and then assumed that you were going to have that disease or cancer, right? Have a conversation with yourself. Talk to your subconscious whenever this happens. Don't let your subconscious take over with symptoms and it take you for a ride. You have to stop this process. You have to actually correct the subconscious and say, no, I'm reading an article. It does not mean that I have that disease. No, I was watching a football game. That does not mean that I'm going to deal with commotio cordis. It doesn't mean that I'm going to have, sudden cardiac arrest. It doesn't sign me up for that. It doesn't work like that. So start having that conversation with yourself next time that you read something or see something, right? Or hear something. The next thing, guys, I had to actually convince my subconscious that I was safe, that I didn't have something wrong with my heart, that I was healthy, right? That things are going to be okay. You do this in a lot of different ways. You back up that declaration to your subconscious. That's why a lot of you struggle with acceptance. Okay, I accept that I have anxiety. Okay. Does somebody that accepts anxiety, are they Googling about their heart all the time? No. Are they checking their vitals? Somebody that's healthy, are they checking their vitals? Are they running to the doctor every single day? No. No, they're not. Are they afraid of exercise? No. Right? Are they afraid of going to this place or that place? Are you afraid of driving because you're afraid that you're going to have a heart attack? So you have to change your actions and change your response to your subconscious to show that these anxiety symptoms and that this fear is irrational. These symptoms are not needed. This fear is not needed. We are okay. We are safe, right? So you have to change your response to the symptoms. When the subconscious is scared, it's giving you symptoms. Tell the subconscious, look, things are okay. Things are fine. You don't have to do this. These symptoms are not needed, right? But that takes a lot of effort. You're not a natural at it right now. You'll get better at it, but you have to start practicing. You have to start somewhere. So when your chest hurts, you can't be like, oh my God, chest don't hurt. What you're doing is you're saying, subconscious, yeah, there's something wrong with this. Keep sending me symptoms so it can scare me enough to go to the doctor. That's what you're indirectly saying. Yeah, I get it. You want your symptoms to go away because there's nothing dangerous around, so you're nervous about a health problem. But you have to show your subconscious that the symptoms aren't necessary. So you have to change your response. You have to change your behaviors. And guys, this leads into the next thing. Start eating healthier and working out every day. It's going to be amazing for your health anxiety. It's going to be especially amazing for your heart anxiety. It's easier for you to accept that you're healthy if you're eating the good stuff, right? More plant-based stuff, healthier meats, you're staying away from the processed food, you're getting away from the sugar, you're cutting down your carbs, right? Cut out the alcohol and the tobacco. Lower your caffeine intake unless it's just some black coffee in the morning to get your day going. Limit that. Tobacco and alcohol, that's not great for your heart, right? So you'll actually gain a lot of blessings in disguise while you're actually overcoming and going through anxiety. Oh my God, now I'm not doing tobacco no more. I'm not smoking. Oh my God, now I'm not drinking. Now I'm not eating junk food, right? I cleaned up my diet. And then that leads to exercise. If you work out and start your day with the morning of exercise, cardio, weight training, whatever, guys, that's going to be amazing. It's going to set you free for the rest of the day because when those symptoms happen, you can be like, well, I worked out this morning. If something was going to happen to me, it would have happened then. It's not going to happen now while I'm at the office sitting at my desk, right? It gives you confirmation that you are healthy. It gives you confirmation that your heart is good, and you need that. If you're not working out and you're not getting into that, and I understand a lot of you have the fear of working out, you don't have any evidence that your heart can handle those things. So yeah, whenever you're sitting still, you still think that you can die, right? But you need some evidence that your heart can handle the rest of your day by getting some aggressive exercise in the morning. So back up your acceptance. You can't just say, I accept, and the subconscious be like, okay, no more symptoms. You have to back it up with your habits, your actions. So eat healthier, clean up your diet, get rid of the bad toxic stuff that isn't good for your heart anyways, right? Doesn't make sense to be afraid of having a heart attack, but you smoke still all day, right? So get rid of that. It's always going to mess with your acceptance. And also, I'll say this, because I just need to in every video that I talk about when it comes to anxiety symptoms. If you haven't been to a doctor to get tested, go. That's another thing that's going to help you. It doesn't fix everything. Your symptoms still will likely continue after, but your acceptance will be better, right? At least you won't be as afraid. You won't be wondering, what if? You need to go get that initial reassurance from the doctor. Tell them everything. Write everything down that you're going through. I have this pain. I have this. I have that. I have this. They'll check you with an EKG. They're going to check for electrical disturbances. You know what I mean? They're going to check for the arrhythmias. They're going to get some blood work done to see where you're at there. And if it keeps happening, get a referral to go see a cardiologist. Do that. Get the stress tests. Especially if you have this fear. Get the stress test. Get the echo. I don't know if it's echo or echo. I always say echo. It's going to look at the structure of your heart. Get those things done. Speak with a specialist. And again, write your questions before you go to the specialist. You need this, guys. And then start working on all the other things that come into recovery, right? Also, I mentioned it earlier. If you keep Googling right now, and if you keep checking your vitals, and if you keep body scanning, right? All you're doing is telling your subconscious that you still have a problem. So if you want to get 15, 20, 25% better today, stop those things. Those are mixed signals to your subconscious saying, hey, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. We may be dying from a heart problem. We may have this sudden cardiac arrest, right? So you need to make sure that you back it up with changing your actions. Stop sending mixed signals. Don't wake up accepting and then at 3 o'clock you're on Google, right? But there's a lot of other things that go into recovery. That's why I have a course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp. So I'm going to put that down below in the description and first spin comment. There's therapy down there. My coaching info is down there. There's a lot of good stuff down there. Get some help today. Stop living your life in fear. Live the life that you deserve. All right? I overcame this. I don't suffer from heart anxiety anymore. You know what I mean? it's crazy how things and how your mindset changes. I would actually prefer sudden cardiac arrest over having a 3-year battle with cancer. I'm sorry. I'm good where I'm at in my life. I've helped a lot of people. My wife knows how I feel about her. My children know how I feel about them. That would be the most painless way to die. See how things change? That's where I'm at right now. I have an actually healthy fear of death. Like, I'm not naive to death, right? I want to take care of myself. I want to be here a long time. I want to live maybe longer than what most people are. I want to live more than maybe most people really want to live, right? I still have a respectable, healthy fear of death, but I don't let it ruin my entire life. Instead, I let it fuel me to get the most out of the moment. It allows me to be more present and to take care of myself more than I used to, because I know I have a time limit here. It almost makes my world more beautiful, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of blessings in disguise in this anxiety journey. But remember to take advantage of those resources down below. Please hit like if you got some value. I know this video went on for a long time. I wanted to give some good advice at the end of this video. Hopefully these things help. Please subscribe, be a part of the family. I'm going to put a video right here. Please check this video out. I think it could help a lot of you guys out. And I will talk to you tomorrow.